Hello lovelies, it's your girl Lady Pelvic of Pelvic Gaming coming at ya with more Grandia. I reviewed the first one earlier this year by way of the Grandia HD collection, thank you Herb Soda for this gift, and now I'm reviewing the second one. If you've been following me on Twitter, you already know where I stand, but in case you don't know, you about to find out. A duel between two great entities takes shape in the sky. The world is sliced in two. Symbols and murals of gods of light and dark welcome the player. Cryptic, sure, but for a JRPG vet, you already know where the story's going. But what makes any good story are the journey and the characters. It's rare to have a main character be your favorite of the bunch, but Grandia II checked all my boxes with Ryudo, a geohound, or this world's mercenary. Always pissy, lone wolf, save for his bird companion Sky. Just trying to make a quick buck and move on. He gets hired by the church of all people to escort a devout songstress, Elena, to an eerie tower to conduct a ceremony. Naturally, the two clash with Ryudo's boorish attitude and Elena's preachings, creating an instantly fun dynamic. They get to the ceremony site and things go horribly wrong. Elena fails her duty and is tainted with darkness. While not visible initially, a fiery woman named Millennia with dark wings appears to create chaos. It isn't until later you realize Millennia and Elena are two sides of the same coin. The pastor who hired you pays you well to escort Elena to the holy city to seek help from the Pope. Your adventure starts out as a quest to save Elena from the darkness that dwells within to uncovering the secrets of the battle of good and evil. Yes, it's called the Battle of Good and Evil. Even Ryudo pokes fun at how lame the name is. As you travel from town to town, you'll start to ask yourself, man, do you remember when Grandia was about childhood wonder and adventure? Cause Grandia 2 sure doesn't. The tone is insanely different from Grandia 1, in the best of ways. It's a lot darker, at least for Grandia standards. Gosh, the cast of characters are so good, constantly battling with themes of morality, as not everything is as black and white as it seems. Ryudo is everything I want a protagonist. Strong, self-reliant, doesn't take shit from anybody, and has a snarky wit. Elena is a good girl songstress who preaches the goodness of Granus, god of light, while her other self, Millennia, sides with Valmar, the god of darkness. Roan, a child who seeks to break the bonds of his people's past. Merrig, a wise beast man who's the dad of the group. And Tio, the tin woman who's trying to find their heart. How each of these characters supported good and evil was fantastic, and this harkens back to Grandia never tries to be more than what it is. It's never that deep, however it absolutely teaches a worthwhile and common lesson in JRPGs, the power of choice and the shades of grey. Grandia 2 has an awesome story and characters to support it. That said, there'll be absolutely no surprises or twists that a seasoned JRPG player won't see coming, like, at all. Even so, I enjoyed everything about it. Now the gameplay just builds off Grandia 1. It has some quality of life improvements and some very welcome additions. If you've played the first Grandia, you'll feel instantly right at home. But if you haven't, Grandia 2 actually offers tutorials, which is appreciated. First, we'll get acquainted with the initiative point gauge. This shows the current status of each character. Wait the phase, the COM or command phase where you input the command, and the action phase is when your character will act. Enemies, same thing. You can see what your enemies are doing and who they'll target. There are two types of attacks. Combo, an ordinary attack, good for inflicting a lot of damage. Attacking while enemies in mid-attack will grant you a counter, aka extra damage. And a critical attack, contrary to the name, does less damage, but if you crit an enemy between the common act phase, you can cancel their attack and push them back down the timeline. And yes, enemies can do the same to you. It's all about the balance and flow. You could get so sick nasty that some bosses won't even get to take their turn. I love that it's not a fast-paced action, but not as slow as turn-based either. You get the satisfaction of both. There are also spells and moves. Note that moves use SP and magic uses MP. These are more powerful attacks, some multi-targeting, but can take longer to perform, leaving yourself open to being cancelled. Now you're probably thinking, but Pelvic, that's literally the same as Grandia 1. What does it build upon? Check it. At the end of the battle, you're awarded experience, gold, special coins, and magic coins. These coins can be used to level up your mana eggs, skills, and skill books. In the first game, you used a mana egg on a character and they could learn a type of elemental magic. Now there's different types of mana eggs that you equip that specialize in different types of magic. So the Chaos Mana Egg specializes in offensive magic, is equipped to Ryudo. He can use the magic tied to that egg, but if you give that egg to Elena, she can now use it, not Ryudo. And while it may seem limiting at first, I like that it made me make a choice. Who specializes in offensive magic, who's my healer, support, etc. Use the magic coins to power up the magic, allowing for faster casting and unlocking new spells. And once you unlock multi-targeted spells, the game becomes stupid easy. Where skills come in are the character's individual skills. However, if the skill is magic-based, you will need magic coins instead. And finally, skill books are where customization really kicks in. Unlock passive skills, such as more HP, vitality, speed, etc., by using the appropriate coins. You can equip a character with these for a significant boost. The higher your level, the more skill slots you unlock, allowing you to create fun little builds. One of the biggest quality of life changes for me is that everyone has access to items. Before, everyone carried X amount of items that only they had access to. For me, that's just a dated feature. I also have minor complaints. 1, later spell animations take forever. It was cool the first time. 2, Elena and Millennia switch out frequently, and whatever mana egg they had attached is automatically unequipped for some reason. The least they could have done was have an equipment screen pulled up after the switch as a reminder to re-equip. And lastly, every time you exit the game and you come back, you have to readjust your settings. I didn't like the camera controls, so I was doing this fairly often. I don't know why the game just doesn't remember. And that's honestly my petty complaints for the entire game. Well, okay, there's one more, but it's within spoiler territory, so please skip to this number right here if you're not interested. Are you ready? Okay! So as you defeat people who wield a part of Valmar's body, Millennia comes and consumes them and gains a new power. Mid-game, Ryudo defeats his brother and gains the Horns of Valmar, and doesn't get a special ability. I thought that was bullshit. His appearance didn't even reflect that properly. His arm got tainted, yet his brother had a giant horn on his head. A little disappointing, honestly. Outside of combat, everything flowed fine. Maps felt like the original game, treasure lying about, interactable objects. You can get turned around a bit if you kept rotating the camera, but honestly, the compass did a really great job getting you where you needed to go. I like that you could change the compass to tell you where the exit was or your next objective. Party dinners were still a thing, and thank goodness too, because I live for those moments where characters all come together, eat, and discuss their current predicament. There were definitely a lot of head nods to the original Grandia. Like when climbing a mountain, you make camp several times, just like when you were climbing the Great Wall. And the moments between the obvious love interests had the same energy of Justin and Fina from Grandia 1. Even musically, there were some callbacks. Fun fact, Grandia 2 on the HD collection is a slightly upgraded port of Grandia 2 Anniversary Edition that was released on PC back in 2015. The main differences are its widescreen and added French and German translations. Text only. Audio options are limited to Japanese and English. Grandia 2 is right at home on the Switch. I played mostly dock, but handheld looked nice too. I found dungeons to be serviceable. I thought there were decent indications of where I have or have not been. The more open field areas, I wish they kept the overlook feature from Grandia 1 so you can get a better view of your surroundings. Otherwise, still a beautiful game. The art direction is what caught my attention the most. The art style of Grandia 1 and 2 are very different. Grandia 1 has simple looking characters, bright colors, not heavy on the details, where Grandia 2 has a lot more grit to it. Stylistically, it's completely different. A lot more details, added a bit of maturity, which goes in hand with the story. They kept the portraits depicting different emotions, which I was so grateful for. It's a small touch I always appreciate, and considering the character models are mouthless, I would argue it's necessary. Speaking of, seeing the character models, it brought me back to my childhood. I don't know how to explain it, but it looked Sega. It reminded me of Space Channel 5 or Power Stone. It curbed the uneasy feeling I usually get when games take the leap into 3D. This was my first time playing Grandia 2, and the graphics alone made me feel nostalgic. And I gotta throw this in there, some spells when they transitioned from gameplay to animation and back to game, oh, it was so beautiful. It just blended so seamlessly. And your favorite part is coming up, everybody. The music and the voice acting. Oh, are we started? Not even ready. We didn't even do the bleep thing. Hello everybody, I'm back and I'm upholding my side of the bargain. I said in my Grandia 1 video if I got 700 likes, I would bring back this voice acting segment called Lady Pelvic Pretends to be a Voice Actor and Emulates Her Favorite Lines from Poorly Voiced Video Games, or LPPT BAVAA EHFL FP for short. I still got it. Gonna be honest, I didn't find Grandia 2's voice acting to be terrible or as campy as Grandia 1. I was actually kind of disappointed, so you're not gonna get as many voice lines because a lot of them didn't really speak to me. Sorry.
Here goes my impact bomb.
Here goes my impact bomb. It's like you're trying really hard to be soft. Like, try to be nerdy. Like, here goes my impact bomb. Here goes my impact bomb.
Silver.
Silver. Tio's really boring. She's like typical Android, like, I have no emotion, you know? And it's just like all of her lines are just colors, the colors of the spell. So like a water spell, blue, light blue. She's kind of boring too.
Here you go.
Here you go. I can't. Merrick is not in my vocal range. Here. I didn't even get any sound. I didn't even get any breath. Here you go. Oh, that was pretty good. That was alright. I thought so.
You cannot get away with that.
You cannot get away with that. He has like a nasally kind, like it's like slight, ever so slight. His is like a stuffy nose, you know? You cannot get away with that. That's like a little extra, but.
Off to the crematorium.
Off to the crematorium. I like that. I love, like, Millennia, best girl, hands down. Off to the crematorium. I just like how I'm better than you, she is, you know? Off to the crematorium. Love it.
Piss off!
Piss off! I love that. You know what's hilarious? Millennia's voice actress is the same person who does Ariel from The Little Mermaid. So just imagine Ariel. Piss off! I don't know, she has like a little rasp to it, too, you know? Like, piss off! I don't know. I can't get it.
Chew on this, baby.
Chew on this, baby. I love it. That's my favorite line in the whole game. Alright, well, that's all I got. So I hope you guys enjoyed me destroying my voice box. Like Grandia 1's music, 2 didn't do much for me either. The tunes are jaunty for the most part, but again, nothing particularly my speed. It has the usual different town themes and the battle themes when you're ambushed versus when you're not. Noriyuki Iwadare, sorry if I said that wrong, was the composer for Grandia 1 and 2, and his music sounded pretty consistent to me. So if you enjoyed the first game, then perhaps you'll enjoy this one. Admittedly, I didn't notice some of the more subtle musical callbacks of Grandia 1 until I was told, but that was a super cool touch. And when I was informed of this, it actually made this particular song my favorite song, as it has a combination of Grandia 1 and 2's theme. It's just so beautiful. It brought a tear to my eye, especially when it's used. Like, oh man, goosebumps. But I'm not going to show you that one. Instead, I'm going to show you a Days. It's so peaceful, and it sounds like a song of old, telling the story of the battle of good and evil. Grandia 2 is amazing. Everybody should play it. Love this game. I was pleasantly surprised how much I was enjoying it. This game made me just as happy as Tales of Grace's F, Final Fantasy IX, Breath of Fire 3, some of my favorite JRPGs. I could not stop playing. I love the protagonist, the journey was awesome, love the super predictable story, Millennia all day, every day. Hands down, love Grandia 2 more than Grandia 1, not because Grandia 1 is bad, just Grandia 2 plays to my dark and sick twisted tastes. If you like a more lighthearted story, play Grandia 1. Grandia 2 has the same battle system but more additions. I think it's better. Grandia 2 just gets a glowing recommendation from me. Bump this game up your backlog, y'all. It's totally worth it. Or just stop whatever you're playing and play Grandia 2 instead. Thank you so much for watching. Top box are more reviews like this, and the bottom box is Normal Boots Hardcore. And don't forget to check out my Patreon to join the Discord, gain early access, and postcards. I appreciate your support, and I'll see you in the next video. Mwah!